G'day guys, and welcome to this special edition of the High Street Podcast covering the first test of the 2017-18 Magellan Ashes. I'm Dan and I'm joined by Matt. Today we'll discuss some key performances that saw Australia go one up in the series, and also talk about some events in the JLT Sheffield Shield that may cause some selection headaches for Australia ahead of the Adelaide Test on Saturday. Tim Payne, I think, did pretty well for himself and behind the stumps. He kept really well after he dropped the first catch late on day one. What do you sort of think?
Yeah, I think he dropped that catch early on. It probably shot his confidence a bit, but he came back with a brilliant stumping in the second innings for Moeen Ali and took a couple of good catches as well. So I reckon he's done pretty well for himself.
I think he's done pretty well. I think that review for the broad catch was quite incredible, especially when Starkey didn't even go up for it. So really, really good job behind the stumps. What do you think of his batting?
He got out pretty quickly. Only made 13, I think. He did play some good shots, but just tried to defend a really loose ball and nicked it through the keeper. So based off his keeping, I think he keeps his spot in the team. The failures of Wade and co at Sheffield Shield level probably makes him a bit safer at that level.
Makes it a bit easier to make that call, doesn't it? I think with his batting, he was undone by the new ball, and I thought it was a bit of a peach by Jimmy Anderson there. Could have maybe left it, like you think, but I think he batted fairly well for what he was there for. Coming in at number 7, you're not normally expecting to face the new ball, so I think he did fairly well for the instances he come in.
Especially with the point at which he came in, they just lost 2 quick wickets, and that was a good way to kind of steady the ship a little bit. He probably gave it away a bit cheaply, but after that Cummins came out and made a good score. So
yeah, he didn't make the runs, but I think he kind of set the foundation for Cummins to come in and really, really dominate.
Took a bit of shine off that ball as well. So.
Yeah, nice 4 balls of it. What do you think? So yeah, you're with it. Keep your spot. Yep, definitely agree on that one. Khawaja.
I think he's gone. I mean, he's only made 11 runs, and he didn't get to bat in the second innings, but didn't take a catch the whole game, and wasn't too active in the field. So I reckon he's gone.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm a fan of Khawaja. I'll say that, but he's got to make runs. That's a simple point. I mean, even Maxwell was told to go away and make runs. Look what happened to him. He went away for Victoria and made 278 in their first innings. So I really think Maxwell's my option to come in. Khawaja drops out. How do you think? What would you do to the order to slot Maxwell in?
I think with the way Marsh played, I reckon bring him up the order a bit. Slot him into number 3, take Khawaja out, and then bring Maxwell in to replace Marsh at 6.
Yeah, I definitely in agreement there. So I think Maxwell had obviously that was a brilliant knock. It was talked about everywhere, even come up at the Ashes that day we were there. So I think really makes the point quite clear. So for me, Khawaja's out.
So the next point we have is the Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad economy in the first innings. They kept Australia to a run rate of about 2.5, which is quite hard to do with the calibre of the batsmen that we have in the team. So yeah, it's a good effort to keep them to such a low score.
Yeah, I mean, they kept them 2.5 across the entire innings, and we know that Broad and Anderson between them were sitting with an economy of better than 2, so it was 1.9, I think, for Broad, and I think Anderson might have been even better. So I think that kind of ties in together with the fact that though they bowl with great economy, we kind of lacked a bit of aggression, didn't they? Yeah. They didn't get many bounces up.
I think, well, they bowled pretty well, and the batsmen weren't looking to really play the shots in the first innings. I'm not sure if it was the pitch condition that worried them a bit, and they just didn't want to lose their wickets. But yeah, they didn't really get firing in the first innings, not like we saw with Warner and Bancroft in the second innings. So yeah, I think the inability to take the 10 wickets in the second innings, or take any wickets in the second innings, they only got 10 for the match. It would be quite a big worry for them going into the second test, and with the possible exclusion of Ali after his finger injury on the fourth day, that could give them some problems.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't see Ali bowl at all on the fifth morning before Australia wrapped it up. We actually saw Root take the ball before him, which was quite interesting. So, yeah, they say catches win matches, but there's got to be the opportunity there, and I don't know if the bowlers quite produced it. I mean, we saw that with Smith in the first innings. He batted for some 300 balls and really gave the odd opportunity was there, and they were always half chances, though. They were never a nick that was dropped or anything, so the opportunities weren't there for the fielders to take the catches. And we saw that again with Warner and Bancroft in the second innings, so kind of spells a bit of an end for the bowler dominance that we might have expected from the likes of Stuart Broad and Jimmy Anderson. Our next sort of selection dilemma we have is really, if Khawaja was to stay in, you've got Shaun Marsh. Is his 50 enough to retain his spot?
I think it was. He fielded pretty well as well. Didn't get the chance in the second innings. But at the time when Australia needed that stability, he came in when they were, I think it was 4 for 70 at that stage. He's come in, him and Smith steadied the ship, got them through to stumps on day 2, and then come out the next morning, got his 50 up. He did get out pretty quickly after that, but he did pretty well up to that stage, so I'm pretty happy with the way he batted.
Yeah, I'm in agreement, and I mean, the only other person I could see from the Sheffield Shield stats, the only person I could see really slotting in to replace him might be his brother Mitch, but we've seen Mitch's performances at the test level, so I'm not sure if he'll get the confidence back again, but he did score 141 in WA's first innings against Queensland, although he did fail. He only got 11 in the second, so that kind of puts a bit of a bottleneck on him really pushing his case for selection. But to me, Shaun Marsh definitely retains his spot. He fielded well, good energy, saved quite a few runs in my opinion, so definitely put the pressure back on the English.
Yeah, I'm happy with that decision as well. So in the second innings, we saw Bancroft get his 50 on debut. So great performance in just his second innings at an international level. Stayed with David Warner the whole time. Got Australia there quite comfortably in the end. I don't think there was any worry at all. Played his shots nicely. Didn't swing at anything that was out of the range that he should have been swinging at. And yeah, just played a nice composed innings. He said in an interview after the game that he was the calm one out there with David Warner looking to move it on quickly, but he told him to calm down and just keep his wicket, and which is what you want from a youngster coming into the team.
Yeah, definitely in agreement there. Bancroft's second innings really did show his maturity. I think we could nearly put down his failure in the first innings to nerves. He's been so close to Australian selection for a few years now, and especially missing the tour of Bangladesh back in 2015 because of the security concerns. He'd been picked in the side for that, so missing out then and finally reclaiming his spot due to a really good run of form. Really, the first innings failure was just a little blip in what's been a really, really, really good month for Bancroft in terms of his cricket. I really don't think there's anyone within the Sheffield Shield system that was looking as a replacement. I mean, we saw Matty Renshaw, who Bancroft replaced in the side, in case you weren't aware. He only got 18 in Queensland's first innings, and he's yet to bat in the second. So, again, Renshaw is just continuing his poor run of form in the Shield. So, bit sad there for the Queenslander, but glad to see Bancroft slotting in, getting opportunity that he really does deserve.
That's right, and just remembering too that Renshaw is only 19 years of age, so he's got a big career ahead of him, and he just needs to get over this form slump now, and he'll be right into the future. So we had quite an even share of the wickets between the Australian bowlers, which was good to see. We had Hazelwood and Cummins getting 4 each. Then Lyon took 5 and Stark 6. I think that's what Australia's been looking for a while now. We've kind of relied on 1 or 2 bowlers to get all of our wickets, and it has come at a detriment in some respects. So it's good to see that they're all firing on all cylinders and they're making the contributions equally. We're not just relying on like a Brett Lee or a Glenn McGrath to get all our wickets anymore.
Yeah, very much in agreement. It was beautiful to watch, really. Especially in England's second innings, every delivery was on the point, and it looked as though Australia could get them out with any delivery. Nathan Lyon was, I thought, brilliant. Really deserved probably more wickets in the first innings. But to see such an even spread across the entire match is just phenomenal. I mean, we're used to like the likes of Peter Siddle or Mitch Johnson coming in and getting 6, 7 in an innings. But I think stats and history is going to show that these guys were a brilliant combination. And for what we've seen, it might even come at personal detriment. Stark may not ever get the same number of wickets as Glenn McGrath, or Hazelwood may not. But as a pair, I think they're going to have to go down as one of our all-time greatest pairs of fast bowlers. And brilliant support from like Cummins in his first test in Australia, like 4 wickets in his first Australian test, which is just brilliant, and 40 runs as well. So I mean, that's a pretty good domestic sort of feel, but to do it at international level is even better. So he's done that in his first test in Australia. Just brilliant.
Yeah, that's right. It's good to see him back from a crippling run of injuries as well that has kept him out of the side for so long. So hopefully he can keep fit for the next few years and really keep this up and really cement his spot and show the potential that he has been showing since he was 18, 19 years of age.
I think this is a really, really good start to showing that too. I mean, 4 wickets, 40 runs. He showed real class at the bat. He wasn't just slogging it. It was a really well directed and controlled innings, especially opposite Smith, who England had knuckled down pretty tight. So he was the let out of pressure there, which was really, really good. I think we also need to talk about the partnership between Warner and Bancroft in the final innings. What a stand. 170 runs.
Yeah, so they broke an 87-year-old record there for the highest first wicket partnership in a successful run chase at test level. So that's pretty good to do in an Ashes test, especially with a debutant there. So credit to them, and hopefully they can keep it up in the second, third, and the rest of the tests in the series. So
yeah, it'd be really, really good to see Bancroft get a century. There was a point there where all Warner needed to do was hit one more run off the final ball than what we needed to win, have his century, but Bancroft decided he was going to hit a few more runs, so that sort of eliminated the possibility. And two opening batsmen finishing in the 80s is, I think, it just showed that they were in control. There was talks about some demons coming into the pitch, maybe, but if there were any, they didn't worry us at all. So
yeah, no signs in the bowling. There didn't seem to be any, like the Aussies were in control the whole time. The English had no answers, so it's good to see.
Yeah, very good to see. So a very dominant display from Australia, both batting and bowling wise. Nathan Lyon in the field, Shaun Marsh in the field, just brilliant. So that wraps up our Ashes discussion. What do you think about our domestic situation at the moment? We've got a few people sort of showing a bit of form.
Yeah, so we had Jackson Bird take 5 for 30 and 3 for 51 in Tasmania's Shield win over South Australia in the last few days. It's a good return to form, but I think he's a bit too old to make a comeback into the Test squad. I think we'll work on developing these youngsters that have just come into the team that have worked so well. I don't think that we really need to bring him back.
No, it's kind of hard to justify bringing back someone who's, well, you'd have to say well past their prime. But I think for a player who's so good to have played so little for his country, and really he's ran drinks more than anyone else. I think he's nearly set an Australian record for that. But he's just been quite unlucky, I think. He had a few injuries when he was probably in the prime to be picked, and when he does come back, he does do quite well. But I think when we've got the likes of Cummins, Hazelwood and Stark all performing really well, and really our spin options are going well as well, and Lyon's been performing on every type of deck we put him on, so it's not going to be a horses for courses change if we brought Bird in for Lyon. I really do think Bird's past it, unfortunately, but God, that's some pretty good figures in the Sheffield Shield, I will say.
That's right. So we also had Queensland pair Jake Wildermuth and Marcus Labuschagne make it into the 90s.
Hang on. Can you please repeat those names for me?
Jake Wildermuth and Marcus Labuschagne.
Very good.
So they both made it into the 90s, with Wildermuth making 98 and Labuschagne making 92. So that's pretty good. I don't think they'll come into the window for selection anytime soon. They're not really on the radar of the selectors. We had Ashton Turner also make a 101 for Western Australia in their Shield game. That was unbeaten. So he's thereabouts. I think he's been talked about a little bit by the selectors, but doesn't really seem too likely to break in, I don't think.
Yeah, not into a winning team anyway. Had we lost, there might have been a few more questions asked about the list and the order, but the winning team, you're not likely to make many changes, if any. And I think had we lost, Kawaja would absolutely lose his spot. But having won, there's going to be that chance in the selector's mind. They might just try and stay with it. If it's not broken, don't fix it kind of thing. Only other real thing to talk about in the domestic competition is John Holland, who at the time of recording has taken 7 wickets for Victoria against New South Wales, including a 5-wicket haul in the first innings. So he's bowling really well on his comeback season. As we know, he was pushing for test selection and other things a few years ago, even making it as far as the squad. I'm not sure if he made his baggy green or not. Do you know about that one?
No, I don't think he did make the team.
No, but he was always in the picture, always in the frame. But yeah, just never quite made that break. And I think injury did strike him down before he really got where he wanted. So another classy spinner's making his comeback in the Sheffield Shield. But with Lion bowling the way he is, they're not looking at anyone else.
Right, so that brings us to the end of the special episode of the Ashes High Street podcast. Remember to like, share and subscribe. Comment below with your thoughts on the series. And we'll see you next time.